Malaysia has a long-standing relationship with the US, primarily centered around economics and also strategic security. The latter part is, not talked about so much. But on the economic side, a particular issue, two issues really for Malaysia. First centers around Malaysia's desire to get market access to the United States, which is essentially not going to happen anytime in the near future, given the domestic dynamics and the politics in the States itself. Now, this could mean that Malaysia's broader strategic calculation of how it chooses to engage with the US or who else it chooses to engage with, especially when it comes to market access and exports of manufacturing products, changes accordingly. Second aspect here in trade is Malaysia's frankly abysmal rating on the TIP report. We have been on tier 3 for several years now, and for good reason, because of multiple shortcomings on the Malaysian end. Now, this is a growing concern for Malaysian policymakers because of the potential trade implications. It's not affected us yet, except for specific Malaysian companies that have been sanctioned by different US authorities for gross violations on how they treat their migrant workers. But in the future, would Malaysia being on the tier 3 of the TIP report for a very long time influence how US investors and US companies choose to invest, and where would they choose to invest, especially when ESG standards are becoming increasingly important around the world? I think on trade, at least, there are expectations on trying to find some kind of accommodation where both Malaysia and the United States can meet halfway. Again, I don't know whether we can get through that impasse, but because it's particularly challenging. However, beyond that, there are perhaps two broader trends that I would like to identify. I think, first off, it is a very long relationship. It's a relationship that sometimes both Americans and Malaysians take for granted because things, for the most part, work quite well. They're structured and they don't get too much of public attention. That said, I think it is pretty obvious that there are growing divergences when it comes to perceptions of strategic priorities and strategic realities between both Malaysia and the United States. Now, this could potentially impact future opportunities for both countries, especially when it comes to multiple regional engagements, regional mechanisms. Malaysia is concerned that some of these arrangements and these agreements could impinge on its long-standing position of neutrality. They are designed to specifically exclude China or to isolate China. And that they could have wider impact on ASEAN-centered mechanisms and inclusions. I think moving forward, you do need stakeholders on both sides to continue to have engagements on finding out where are the points of shared interest and where are the points where these interests diverge. I think these lines are moving, they are evolving, and stakeholders in DC and Kuala Lumpur might not necessarily be entirely aware of them. The second point here really on how we can move forward is to look at newly emerging areas where we do perhaps share, we do share concerns. I would just point out one, which is on, what we could do together when it comes to dealing with the climate crisis. So, issues of sustainable climate financing, issues of sustainable development, issues of carbon trading. These are concepts that are gaining a lot of traction in Malaysia. These are concepts that are gaining traction among policymakers in Malaysia, and Malaysian policymakers are increasingly bringing these up and looking out for opportunities with our partners abroad. And this could be an area where we could see potential growth between Malaysia and the US.